While attaching the swivel casters, I ran into a minor design change. So I had planned to attach these casters much further forward so that the screw holes would overlap with this 2x4 here. But mounting this that far forward means that as the wheel would swivel, it was going to hit this 2x6, and the wheel would only be able to swivel that much. It would not be able to swivel all the way around. So I had to mount it further back. And I didn't want to screw it in so close to this edge right here, so I mounted it another 2 inches back, which is okay. It actually makes it easier to attach the swivel casters because I can screw them onto these 2x4s, which will only dry fit in place, rather than trying to turn the entire frame upside down to try to be able to drill and screw into this 2x4 here. So minor design change, but still making progress. Alright, everything is done with this half of the platform except for the top layer of plywood. I wanted to show you this first before I put on the plywood because that will cover everything up. I raised the platform up with some blocks to make room for the swivel casters. So there's one there, there, and there, and then there are 3 more down here. I used the long level, the long straight edge there to align the edge support boards that will provide support to the plywood on the sides. And I had one of the 2x4s that was a little bit high at the end here. I checked it out with the straight edge, and it was slightly bowing up a bit, and it was sticking out there. So I used the hand plane to shave off some of the wood off of this 2x4 here out to the end. Got some good shavings out of that. The secret to getting a hand plane to work properly is to make sure you have a nice sharp blade on it, and also to make sure that you have a level, I guess what would you call it, the bed of the plane, the bottom of the plane. This part down here needs to be as perfectly flat as possible. When I got this plane from one of the home improvement stores, I mean, I spent probably hours sanding the bottom of that level on a flat granite surface with sandpaper to get it, you know, wet sanding it to get it as perfectly flat as possible, and then sharpening the blade on it, of course, and getting good shavings out now. Now when I take the blocks out, these wheels should be able to sit down on the ground, and they have room to swivel completely around, so it should be ready to add the plywood on top. Alright, half of the build platform is now done. I mean, it's almost half. There is a section here at the end where the 2 halves will join that I'm not putting plywood over this. I don't want to cut a piece of plywood in half here. I'm going to join the 2 halves together and then put this final sheet of plywood down to cover it. And that means when it comes time to separate these 2, I should be able to just undo the 2 side 2x6s, take out the screws holding this sheet of plywood down, and there'll be some extra 2x4s that go along the sides of each of these 3 to help stabilize them. Those can be removed, and then the 2 halves will be separated. So that's the plan for getting it apart. The other thing I was thinking about was building the second half on top of the first, and I could do that, but I kind of want to open my garage door and get this plywood down that's leaning against my garage door. So I think instead I'm going to stack the those 2x6s at the end, the plywood at the end. I'll also stack this marine plywood that I didn't have room for my lumber cart. I'll put all of that on there, and I still have all of this western red cedar sitting here that's in the way, so I'm going to stack that all up on top of this half of the lumber cart, and then I'll build the second half in its proper position. So I'm not going to build the second half on top of the first half. I'm going to stack everything up, shift this over closer to the garage door, and build the second half right where it will need to go. Alright, so that is enough for this video. I'm going to get this posted, and so you can stay up to date with the progress. I think it's coming along nicely. One thing to mention, the sides worked out really well with being flush with this, so the plywood sheathing comes very flush with this 2x6 right here, so that actually extends the width of this platform. The plywood is 8 feet long, and there's the 2x6s, so right now it's actually 8 foot 3 inches wide, and when I put the other 2x6s on the sides, there will be another 2x6 on the side to join these two up. That will make this 8 foot 6 inches wide, at least in the middle. So I think that will be good. So alright, that's all for this update. Yeah, I guess the next step is just build the second half. Alright, bye.